Hi guys, I'm Jess from Honest Fiction, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the Summerween Book Tag. Alright guys, this tag was originally created by Colleen from Little Ghost Creations, and I will leave her tag original video linked down below. But this tag was created for Summerween, which is a readathon that's hosted by GabbyReads and OliviaReadsALatter, two of my absolute favorite booktubers. Check them out, their content is awesome. But anyway, I was so excited to do this readathon just because it's all spooky horror books. I love horror movies, so I think it's going to be a good time. There's a bunch of prompts. I will have them on the screen. And also, I believe it goes from July 2nd to July 8th. Also, if you are new to my channel, I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. You can also hit the notification button to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. You can also check out my Instagram. It is linked down in the description below. With that being said, let's get into this horror tag. Alright, the first prompt is, what spooky read are you most excited about that's in your TBR pile? And I have two for this. So the first one is by Taylor Adams, and that is Hairpin Bridge. That is the same author who wrote No Exit, which is one of my favorite horror books of all time. Horror thriller. So good. But anyway, this one follows a girl named Lena, and she has a twin, trigger warning for self-harm, suicide. And it appears that her twin sister committed suicide by jumping off a bridge. However, Lena doesn't think that's actually what happens, so she takes her sister's car, goes to the bridge, and tries to investigate what really went down. And I'm very excited to be reading this. I will be reading this during Summerween. I can't wait. And the other one is a book by Riley Sager. It's his newest book, and it is Survive the Night. I don't know very much about this. I just know it's, I think it's a dual timeline, dual perspective, maybe, might be completely wrong. However, I read Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed their writing, so I'm excited to check that one out as well. Next up is, what is your favorite revenge novel? And I had so much trouble with this because I just kept thinking about Gone Girl, which I don't really think is actually a revenge novel, but it kind of is. I ended up picking Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, that series. I actually only read 2 of the books. It was okay. It's not quite a series for me, but I did enjoy it, and it definitely focuses on revenge. So that's what I went with for this prompt. What horror or thriller crime book do you wish you could experience for the first time? This is easy. No Exit by Taylor Adams. I love this book. I remember the first time I read it, I was like just so blown away and so freaked out. Hinges, by the way, seriously scared me after reading this book. If you read it, you know. It was just an awesome book. Such a good time. It follows a girl who is traveling to see her mother. Her mother is, I believe, dying of cancer. And on the way, she ends up stopping at a rest stop, and she ends up meeting a bunch of other people, and things are kind of a miss, and it goes from there, and it's so good. I couldn't recommend this more. This is definitely a read I would read like in the winter, obviously, like the snow on the cover, but it's so good. All right, guys, the next prompt I'm actually going to have at the bottom of the screen just because it's really long and I can't memorize it. I tried 3 takes and it's not working. But pretty much to summarize, what is your least favorite candy and what was a book that really disappointed you? My least favorite candy is anything milk chocolate. I know, I just don't like milk chocolate. I think it's a little too sweet. I much prefer dark chocolate. And then a book that disappointed me, surprisingly, was It by Stephen King. So I saw the original movie with Tim Curry. I love that movie. It was one of my favorite movies when I was younger. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I really like that version. I like the newer movies. They were entertaining, not very horror-esque. I feel like, I don't know, it was watered down. But then I read the book. That was something. There was a lot going on there. There was a turtle. A lot happened with it, and I don't know. It was typical Stephen King, and I think if you're a fan of Stephen King, like, you will enjoy it. Personally, the only book I've read by Stephen King that I really enjoyed was Pet Sematary. The rest, they're fine. I'm just not a huge fan. Please don't come at me in the comments. I know this is like a horror tag, but I'm just not a huge Stephen King fan. But I did not enjoy it nearly as much as I thought I was going to. It was just very long. Situations were different. I don't know. Just wasn't a huge fan of that one. The next prompt is costume, and it's put on your costume if you could exist in a spooky novel, which one would it be? And I just said I didn't like Stephen King. I'm going to pick a Stephen King collab for this. So it was called Sleeping Beauties, and I read this a while ago, and it's pretty much what would happen if all the women on Earth were like put into cocoons and men had to like survive. And I think it really showed how much men need women in order for society to function correctly. I remember really enjoying this book. I don't remember a lot of the details. I know that when the women were in their like cocoons, they could choose if they wanted to like have this world without men, but they're sleeping. I don't know. It was really interesting, and I just feel like I would enjoy being in that world, thinking about like starting a whole new society and all that. So I don't know. That's my take. The next one is, what is your favorite haunted house book and television show? So for the book, this was easy. Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This book freaked me out. I read this when it first came out, and I really liked it. It's about this girl who inherits this haunted house. Her father was a writer and wrote about how this house was haunted, and they ended up fleeing in the middle of the night, and now the daughter is all grown up, and she inherited the house, like I said, from her father, and she's gonna check out, is it really haunted? Did her father make all this stuff up for notoriety? What's going on? So I really enjoyed this. I did not guess the ending. It was so good. It's one of the books that made me fall in love with Riley Sager. So this is what I picked for book. And then for haunted house, this is really easy. American Horror Story, the first season. I love that season. It is the only season of American Horror Story that I actually enjoyed. Unfortunately, I think I watched them all up until Freak Show, and then I finally just like gave up on the show. However, that first season was so good. Yeah. So those are my picks. Next up is the food question. You can only pick one. So chocolate or sour candy? 100% sour candy. I love anything gummy, sour worms, sour gummy worms, airheads, all that stuff. 100% sour candy. And then coffee or tea? I drink both, but I think I have to start my day with coffee. I just really need that caffeine kick, and I don't know if tea would be enough for that. And the last one is apple pie or pumpkin pie. Definitely pumpkin pie. I actually don't really like apple pie all that much, and I love everything pumpkin. The next prompt is, show us a woman or a witch who ends up being screwed over by society and the patriarchy. This was very easy. So, Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. I read this last year, and it was so good. Way more scary than I thought it was going to be. The ending of this really freaked me out, but it's about Emmanuelle, and she is living in this very impoverished, like secluded society that is completely run by men and the prophet, and she's just trying to survive. And she finds out that her mother was involved with some witchy type stuff, and it's pretty much how she tries to screw over the patriarchy and the prophet and everything like that. It was so good. I really enjoyed this. I could not recommend this more. This is like a perfect October read, spooky read. Definitely check this one out. Next up is, which book on your shelves has the scariest book cover? So first of all, I couldn't find this book, and I know I have it somewhere. I have no idea where I put it, but it's Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno. And this book, first of all, the cover is really eerie. It has like this, like, I don't even know why it's eerie. It's just a girl, but it has like this really interesting color palette. And I love this book. It is terrifying. I have a whole new appreciation of a certain plant. I don't know. It was horrifying, but I really loved it. It was a very good book. But it follows this girl whose sister ends up marrying this very rich guy who lives in the middle of nowhere. And one day she decides to go and check on her after she receives a letter that says, I forget what the letter says, but the letter's pretty much begging the sister to come and help her. So she goes, and now the sister's acting all fine, but the main character starts to realize that there's some things amiss at this mansion, and something's up with her sister. She's not acting the way she used to, and it really goes from there, and it was so freaking good. I loved it so much. I love the writing. The pacing of this book was really good. It just slowly amps up and amps up and amps up, and by the end, you're just like, what is going on in this house? Oh my goodness, it was so good. So definitely recommend Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. It's Summerween and it's hot outside. What books give off summer vibes? So I looked through my shelves for a very long time, and I could not find a single book that was horror thriller themed that reminded me of summer, except for one. Unfortunately, I haven't finished reading it yet. So I'm in the middle of reading this book that I am very much enjoying, but I'm not going to give a full review just because I haven't finished it. And that is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, and this takes place at a like haunted summer camp, or the beginning does. So I'm sorry, that's like the only book I could find. I was going to skip this question, but Last Time I Lied does actually fit with the prompt, so we're going with that. All right, this next one is tough. So Trick or Treat, Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft, Shirley Jackson, and Mary Shelley are all at your front door. Who do you give a candy bar to? So, like I said, Stephen King isn't my favorite, but I feel like he's made such great books that a lot of people really enjoy, but personally, just not for me. H.P. Lovecraft, I actually haven't looked into any of his works, so I'm not even gonna pick. So it's really gonna be between Mary Shelley and Shirley Jackson. However, I just read The Haunting of Hill House, and I really liked it, and I did really like Frankenstein, but it took me a really long time to read. So I think I'm actually gonna give it to Shirley Jackson with this one. I know. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but yeah, so Shirley Jackson gets the candy bar. All right, this is another very long one that I can't memorize, and I've tried. So you're pretty much in a house and you end up getting separated, and you find your two friends after hearing screams. And what two friends do you hope they are? What two fictional friends would you hope them to be? And for this, I thought for a very long time, and all I could come up with is like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, just because if there are screams happening in this house, I would like for someone to be able to solve what is going down in this house, and hopefully Sherlock Holmes could do that for me. I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm such a wimp. I wouldn't want to be in this situation at all anyway. But yeah, so we're going to go with Sherlock Holmes. If not them, then maybe the kids from Stranger Things, if we're going to go the movie route, just because I feel like they're very good at getting out of really bad situations. But yeah, that's all I got. All right, guys, and the last question is, what is your favorite spooky read to movie adaptation? That they were both good. This was so hard. So I'm actually going to pick The Shining for this. And I know I said I didn't like Stephen King, but I read The Shining when I was at my family's lake house in Virginia. And I think because of the ambiance, it was just terrifying and so creepy, and I really enjoyed reading it. And then The Shining, the movie, is just a classic that I could probably quote more than half of it. So yeah, I'm going to go with The Shining for that one. All right, guys, that is it for my Summerween book tag. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys also participate in Summerween. Like I said, July 2nd to July 8th. I can't wait to read all of these really spooky books and just enjoy it. And I can't wait for October and fall. It's my favorite season, so I'm so hyped to be doing this readathon. And yeah, that's it. So I post new videos on Thursdays and Sundays, and if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I will see you all next week. Bye.